All right, Reno. The president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be inaugurated on May 29th, exactly 1 month's time. And if he goes ahead, if he proceeds to retain the presidency, that is, if he wins at the court, do you think that his presidency will have suffered irreparable injury on account of all these allegations, that have been thrown at him left, right, and center? And since he's going to spend the first 4 years, what do you think should be his priorities in uniting the country, given the fact that putting all the votes together, he had barely 1/3 of the total votes that was cast on election day? What do you think should be his priority in uniting the country? Opposition from the PDP, from the Labour Party, from NMPP, from APGA, and those who just simply do not believe in him, but he will be their president. How do you think that he can navigate these difficult waters if he turns out the rightful president according to the court?
Now, what I would say to the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, the NNPP, and all of Nigeria, if at the end of the day, Bola Tinubu emerges victorious at the Supreme Court, then I would urge everybody to shape their swords and support him. If he, at the end of the day, now I would hope that the Supreme Court will do the right thing and will order re-elections in those 14,000 polling units, and that Bola Tinubu will not be sworn in as president. But if the Supreme Court, in their own wisdom, you got to understand that the Supreme Court is not final because they are right. They are actually right because they are final. So if they, in their own wisdom, say, okay, well, with all that we've seen, Bola Tinubu is the rightfully elected president, I will support him. I will ask everybody to support him. I will never be a part of his government. I will never be a part of his party, but I would support him as the president of Nigeria. Now, having said that, there are issues with Bola Tinubu that cannot be swept under the carpet. Obviously, he's got the drug cartel history. He cannot hide that. If you look at the Spiegel, which is the biggest paper in Germany, if you look at the paper in Austria, if you look at here in the United Kingdom, if you look at in the United States, several papers, several media have talked about his drug history. And that's actually going to affect Nigeria, because if you see what happened in a country like Colombia, if you see what happened in a country like Panama, if you see what even happened in Guinea, so it's going to actually, when I say it's going to be like, it's going to taint his presidency. Now, that having been said, Bola Tinubu on his own is going to be, will I say, an improvement economically for Buhari. It's going to be better because he has some economic genius. If you look at what he did in Lagos, he's got some managerial brilliance. He's able to manage men and resources very well. That's what Bola Tinubu has. However, we do know that he does have health challenges. So we hope that those health challenges, if he eventually wins at the Supreme Court, will not hold him back. On another issue, I don't think he started very well on a good footing. If you look at his transition council, he did say that he wants to start that he wants to continue where Buhari stopped. And Buhari, over the last 8 years, has not been very, very fair to the Southeast in terms of the composition of the National Security Council, in terms of the composition of not his cabinet, because his cabinet, he has no choice, he's got to make ministers from the Southeast states. But in terms of, appointments into his office, the North, especially the Northwest and the Southwest, have had the lion's share. The Southeast has not been treated very, very fairly at all. As a matter of fact, I believe it was on June 23, 2015, that he said at the United States Institute for Peace that those who gave me 5% of the vote cannot be treated like those who gave me 97% of the votes, referring to the Southeast. So with Bola Tinubu's transition council, I'm not seeing enough Igbo names there. I'm not seeing enough names from the Southeast. And even somebody like Joe Ibokwe, who has been very faithful and loyal to Bola Tinubu, actually even raised the issue. So I don't want him, if he wins at the Supreme Court, to start governing on that account. He has to move away from what Buhari has done, which has been very clannish, very sectional, and take the whole of Nigeria as his constituency. Forget about whether some people did not vote for him or whether some people voted for him, and then rule. Similarly to how President Obasanjo and President Jonathan ruled, governed rather. Make the whole country your constituency. Even if possible, form a unity government. Maybe give one or two token ministerial appointments to other opposition parties. Like maybe even the Labour Party, but he should not, on any account, and this is, his counsel is, I'm just giving my opinion, it's not going to be mandatory on him, but he should not toe the Buhari line of excluding, especially the Southeast.
Thank you so much for being here on the morning show. We do appreciate your time, Reno Omokri.